We are opening public comment on behalf of the city of Cedar Springs and Solon Township. Would anyone from the public like to speak at this time? Those citizens wishing to speak on agenda and non-agenda items will be allowed a maximum of 4 minutes each to address their concerns. This is the only time during the meeting that citizens are allowed to address the planning commission. Please state your name and address for the record if you would like.
I think this is the third combined meeting with that I've been to.
Name for the record, please.
Rose Powell, Cedar Springs. And I really appreciate you guys doing this. It's been very informative and well worth it to do this and have a great understanding between our two entities. And thank you for doing it. Keep it up. Keep up the good work. Thank you.
Any other public comments? All right. Is there anyone online this April?
There are individuals online. I'm not sure if they can hear me, Mr. Nixon, if you'd like to state. I don't know if they can pick up my voice from over here. If anybody online would like to speak.
If anybody online
Comment,
wishes to comment,
they can unmute themselves and speak now.
they can unmute themselves and speak now.
Yep.
Okay. All right, I'm going to close the public comments at this time. Our discussion items. In your packet is some historical information about the history of the 425 agreements. Is there any discussion needed? That's to you guys. Anybody have any questions about 425? Okay. I have. Mr. Arlo, would you like to present the information about the highway commercial project to the commission?
Want me to go to the podium?
Please.
If you remember last year at our meeting, we had mentioned the importance of safety and the lack of several properties in the HC district. They currently don't have sidewalks, or some of the sidewalks are in disrepair. So over the last year, my staff and I put together a sidewalk report, basically. We've shared it with you guys in the past. Has some good information in here. The city's updated our sidewalk ordinance quite a bit because we've secured CDBG funding in the past for 2 separate sidewalk projects. So we can, the city has a sidewalk ordinance. I'm not sure if Solon Township has adopted one in the last year or not. No, okay. So it's something that we might need to do in the future. So at the request of my planning commission, the city's engineer is Fishbeck. I reached out to them, explained the project. Before anybody seeks funding for a sidewalk project in the HC district, there's some information that we're gonna need to be determined by engineers. So I just got a basic quote. The quote is for $15,250. It would give us the necessary information, and some maps. The thought was, after we secure this information from whatever engineering company we choose, we could apply for a joint CDBG sidewalk application through Kent County. There's an annual cycle that application is in. If we can all come to an agreement and make that happen, I think that would probably be the only way that we can secure the funding to install sidewalks in this area. So our ask tonight is, if the township would like to contact their own engineering company, I don't know who that is, get a quote to secure the same information. Doesn't matter who it comes from, but we would need this information to apply for a CDBG sidewalk grant through Kent County. So we were hoping, and I'm not sure if your board could approve a budget request like this. It might need to go to the township board. We understand that. But I just wanted to come with information and a dollar amount and have some discussion amongst the boards.
How much does the grant cover? Is it like a 50/50 or?
In the past, the city has secured the two grants that we've secured, we've pledged 25%. So to secure CDBG funding like this, you would secure more points if you pledged up to 25%. We can pledge 5% and see how we score. It's all based on a scoring system.
Thank you, Ms. Miller. All right. Any discussion?
The $15,250, whatever quote that you received. Say again what that was for, and it was from, was that from Fishback?
That's from Fishback,
Okay,
an estimate.
and it was for specifically what?
Prepare an overall map identifying the existing and proposed sidewalk locations, identify the extent and location of sidewalk gaps, determine where sidewalks should be constructed to capture the most pedestrian traffic based on current and future development types, determine where private sidewalk easements may be necessary due to site constraints, identify site constraints that may impact construction costs, and develop preliminary engineering opinion of probable construction costs that could be utilized in grant funding if grant funding were to be pursued.
And that would cover the whole 1 and 2 areas?
Yeah, so it would cover all of White Creek, north and south to the limits. 17 mile from White Creek to like Taco Bell. Yeah, the bridge. And then Solon Road from White Creek to the city limits.
Okay.
Do you folks have anything in your, when you approved for the apartments, did you have anything in there for the apartments to put in their own sidewalk?
Yes, within the development, sidewalks are being installed, but not along the highways because they don't extend all the way out to White Creek.
Okay, so there's another property parcel in between the apartments in there,
Yes,
okay. Is it your intent, as future businesses go in, require them to put in their own sidewalk? Or will that be a part of what you're proposing with that CDBG?
within the city limits, we require sidewalks to be installed, but I think to get caught up to date, like so many have been, not made to be put in or, whatever at the time. I mean, I guess that's a decision that you guys could make, all future development, this standard sidewalk needs to be installed.
think most of the newer stuff anyway that we've approved, which is only a few. For sidewalks and front. Because when they come to the city and ask for city water and sewer, it's out of our hands. They might be in the Solon Township area right now. But as soon as they ask for water and sewer, it goes into the city of Cedar, is that correct?
I believe so, yes.
So we have no jurisdiction over that, and we get very little back. Taxes back to the townships. Most everything goes to the city of Cedar. So looking at it long term, which most people would want city water, city sewer. As far as Solon Township, we have very little to gain. That's the way I'm looking at it anyway. Tell me if I'm wrong on that, but that's the way.
Well, I mean, it's a safety feature, honestly. I mean, we've had several people contact the city. And they can't believe there's not sidewalks out there. They're walking in in the road on 17 Mile or wherever. I just think a joint application would be some of the property is still in Solon Township. And the developed property, you're getting 2.5 mils of developed property rather than vacant land, so you are getting something back.
And how much is the city getting?
How much is
What's the millage from the city that they get
15
out?
point something, 15.1.
Don, can I ask a question?
Yes, ma'am.
I know that when we've looked at site plans before and had agreements with the businesses. A lot of times they are told they need to put sidewalks in, but then are given the okay to do their business and not do sidewalks until later. So who has that information? Would we have that information or would you? As far as site plans and stuff in that area.
Parcels in the city would have that information. Parcels in the township would have that information.
Anything
So that would be something to look into, probably.
that has water and sewer be the city.
Right.
But I mean, even if we're looking at a 25% towards the 15,000, that, even if we do a split percentage instead of going 50-50 of that 1%. It would make sense because it is in the realm of both of Cedar and Solon property. You know, we all benefit from it. We all benefit from it being there. We all benefit from, having a safe place for the public to walk. So it's beneficial that if together we come up with that 25 towards the points value to be able to get the CPD grant. To put that in.
It's 25. I look for 25 stumbles that specifically guaranteed toward the.
We pledge towards the total.
Yeah.
Total amount. And that allows the point system, right?
If we pledge up to 25%, say the project is $2 million, that's just completely hypothetical. If we pledge 25% of that, we'll get maximum points for that section of the grant application. If we pledge 10%, we'll get some points, but not maximum points.
So the likelihood of getting approved for the grant is higher.
Yep, the more points, the better.
How would the maintenance break down? Snow removal and then ship, they break, then who's in charge of maintenance of the sidewalk?
The property owners are responsible for maintaining the sidewalks in the city. For our ordinance.
We have to shovel our own sidewalks.
What's that?
So we have to shovel our own sidewalks.
Okay.
Is there a particular, area, like an address or like an example of where this what's problematic, like where this issue is taking place, as far as whether there's a sidewalk, there's no sidewalk, or there needs to be a sidewalk that's under, the Solon Township jurisdiction?
White Creek to Solon. 17 to Solon on White Creek. Where all the businesses are there, and we put up the hotels and now the apartments. I don't think there's any sidewalks in that stretch. But giving people the opportunity to be able to walk and businesses there.
And this does cover both sides of the 17 mile too. So if they're on, you know, the side where like Jimmy John's and stuff is, you know, down through that way, you know, not all that is developed property right now. But on the other side, you know, they are developing, but it's not developed yet. But once those apartments come in there too, we're gonna have a lot of people walking.
When you okayed the hotel to go in, were they required to do a sidewalk?
Yes. I'm pretty sure we did. I'm pretty
We can
sure,
look into it, I don't.
Yeah,
but I am pretty sure with that hotel, when we asked, they're supposed to put a sidewalk in.
okay.
I am fairly certain of that.
It hasn't been done.
Well, it'd be a sidewalk that went nowhere.
Well, yeah,
No, but as long as it's on the books that they would have to, that would be, yeah.
Yeah, it's when we asked, so it's kind of like when you set up at a business, I'm gonna use O'Reilly's, for example. When they put that indention to the west of their parking lot. You know, we said, okay, put that indention in, somebody may develop that property, the farm next to you, well, they did develop it. And now that connects it, right? So those things, you know, you're looking at future things, and you have those plus the sidewalks, you tell them, okay. You know, because that was part of their property that nothing they could do with it was concrete, you know, just an adjustment. But as soon as that other parcel was developed, then there was something that could be done with it. It's the same with the sidewalks, like Mr. Red was saying.
Theoretically, it could be 5, 10, 15 years before some of those properties are developed, that are vacant now. If we're truly concerned about safety of the public and walking on sidewalks rather than streets, it really should all be put in now. With the idea that a developer coming in the future would have to either maintain or protect that sidewalk or replace it as part of the development. So you'd have continuous sidewalks within that district if you really want safety. Otherwise, you're waiting 15 years down the road.
In theory, that's a good idea. What I have visions of with doing it, is me. You take a non-developed property, you put a sidewalk across it, well, now if somebody buys that property, they want to develop it. Well, now they gotta take all that heavy equipment, they're just gonna destroy it. And then they're gonna have to pay to fix it again. And, you know, I don't know that that's worth it, you know, I'm not sure.
That's really not a feasible process. Right. Tear it all out and then have to put it all back in. Yeah, yeah.
Sure, it's an expense, but it's expensive at that point to be picked up by the developer.
Yeah. But there is quite a stretch of that is vacant. There would be a sidewalk there going nowhere. I mean,
But,
You know, I think if we're gonna talk sidewalks, I think we really need to concentrate where the businesses are to start with. I mean, that would be the first step, would be to do that. Not worry about the vacant stuff, and if there's a pocket here and there, we'll have to look at that as we come into it, but,
why not include that as part of, shall we say, phase one?
yeah.
In the extra expense
Yeah.
to do it.
Yeah, I don't think that's anything that,
I'm just wondering with grant wise, is it easier to get the grant to do the whole project at one time, or is it the grant works better in the two parts? But that, you know, because if we're gonna be able to get a grant from, you know. That's what I'm.
Yeah.
The grant funds too, or because if we don't have to pay for 75% of it. And then if the business owners that are already on there to pay for it, that they're.
So there's another point section of the CDBG grant application. If you haven't applied in the last 5 years, you get more points. So if we apply for a grant in 2028, for example, we do one section. We're not gonna get full points for that section unless we wait 5 years to apply again. So it is better to do more at once. Not necessarily.
and you never know what's gonna be available 5 to 10 years down the road.
What the expense is gonna be, I
Yeah.
think, too. Is it possible to? The businesses that are already there, that are supposed to have the sidewalks in, is it possible to? Build them towards. A portion of what we're gonna have to spend on this.
Yes, so what happens is when a new business comes in. One of the new requirements that we have is, they will put in a sidewalk like I was discussing, or an abutment part of their property that just sits there. That eventually the next property might meet up to it. And when we call upon them, then they will have to put in the sidewalk. That is because in order for them not to have to put it in, right as they're building, they have to put it in when we ask them to. So yes, there is a
So-
process.
Okay, so part of that 25% could be taken care of by the business owners that are not in compliance with the sidewalk right now.
They wouldn't be included in the,
No, not the 25%.
anyway, because they're already required to. do
They're
that.
already required to do it, so they wouldn't even be part of the grant or anything, because. When they put the business in, they agreed to put it in. Maybe not at the time they're going in, but when requested. So that chunk would be theirs.
But that's part of the grant money that we don't have to spend on that portion. We can spend it like elsewhere, let's say,
Yeah, yeah.
big boy to the credit.
Right.
Right, because the other side, I mean, you've got what, Culver's and the gas station. There's nothing past Culver's. But you got Big Boy and you got all the way down to the credit union. It could be spent there instead of a few businesses that have to put theirs in.
Yeah,
Yeah, that, in the diagram, with all that.
That could be part of the engineer's analysis too, though. What parcel
Right.
did the city council give a pass to, basically, right?
Mhm.
And now they need to pay. That could be part of this analysis, so we know who's
Who's gonna, who's not,
the whole project.
okay,
I think we would want one company to do the work. I mean,
right.
you're not gonna hire one company, I'm gonna hire another company, we want. Right.
I would think we'd wanna go down to the campground as well, because you get all those people to walk up to the restaurants and stores and stuff like that, so we could probably go past the credit union. If we're gonna pursue that.
How far does it
Oh.
go down?
That-
I'm not
Yeah.
familiar with that section.
Thought you meant Duke Creek. I was about to lose my mind. I was like,
Yeah.
wait a second. We are not going to Duke Creek.
Wrong direction.
It's like, no.
Okay.
Well, at the campground, you wouldn't even have to go all the way
Okay.
to,
You could go up the corner.
yeah,
Just
just
up
to
the
the
corner.
corner.
Yeah.
And they've got a little fence right there. I mean, they can just cut a hole in the fence and boom. Yeah, that's, yeah, cause credit union's here, the corner's right here.
Well, you got that house in
There's
between.
a house.
that
There's
way.
a house in the
Yeah.
middle,
Yeah.
but yeah, that, oh boy, I thought you meant Duke Creek. I was like, no, you're not going to do.
Because according to the diagram, where the red lines are, it's a missing sidewalk. That's all in front of Speedway and the businesses there. That are already in and going north on White Creek. You're up there quite a ways that are missing sidewalks. The businesses, if they've been there for a while, if they're supposed to put the sidewalks in, it's all continuous up through there. I guess I'm puzzled on why they're not in already. It's all city property.
Those businesses were established before I joined, I think in 2018. And after 2018, when I joined, I know that we started any new businesses having to do that. Those are established businesses, probably been there since the 80s, maybe. And who knows what they did back then. I don't know why from, you got the Citgo to Arby's. There's no sidewalk. But then from Speedway on, there is a sidewalk. I don't know.
Choice one. Ready? The choice one.
Choice one, thank you.
Sorry.
I don't know how that was missed.
Yeah, I guess we need to look at which ones have agreed to put a sidewalk in. If requested. Kind of go from there, I guess. Yeah, dig through some old records and find out what businesses were required to and which ones got missed and I'm sure some of the early ones, sidewalk was not a concern. Some of those businesses went in there and they were the only business there.
Yeah, true. Who would that be, Ms. Garlow, that could help somebody on the planning commission look at that? I don't know who that would be that.
No, Mike's not seeing.
Okay. So we could probably say, you know, one of Ms. Darla's staff could help somebody if you wanted to have
Yeah,
somebody,
and we'll have to go through
you know,
some of ours and find out what we have and see who is required to and who got missed.
That information would want to be shown on this map that the engineer would be preparing as well. Here's where a sidewalk is needed, however. It's by the current owner who promised to do it previously.
mhm.
Oh, this analysis, I mean, it's 15,000 to do this and that, to do these scope items, find dish back.
Any other discussion? Cause I think right now where we're landing right now is Solon's planning commission would like to get together with the city and look and see what businesses are possibly supposed to putting in sidewalks whenever.
Whatever we request.
Right, whenever, thank you. And so would that be feasible? And
That's just some information we could email back and forth too, as far as that, I mean, and we can, the few businesses that we have, we can. Look that up and see which ones we have jurisdiction over that, okay, you're required to do a sidewalk, it's gonna happen.
any other discussions? Right, I like that, I like that you have, some direction on that, and, yeah, I think looking at properties and something else. That's a good idea. All right, we will look at, future development. Now would be a good time for Mr. Rick to address any different discussion items they have on their agenda.
And we don't have anything as far as future development, that all just comes to us as it comes to us. The only other thing I have, any other planning commission members have anything they wanna add? Seeing none, turn it back to you.
Okay. It looks like, possibly setting a 2027 meeting date of March 30th. 2027 at 7 p.m. Okay, I guess we'll go to, board member comments. Are there any, city board planning commissioners that have any comments?
Back to me.
Mhm.
Okay, I guess seeing no more business.
Rick,
Oh,
just one more item on this study that we're talking about, engineering study we're talking about. So what is the status of that? Have you agreed to it as a city or what? The $15,250. Is that
it's
taken
just-
care of?
He's wondering if you had agreed to that.
I have not.
Thank you.
okay.
It's a proposal from them. They need to hear back from you or us, whatever. And what are you looking for in order to make that happen? You're looking to say, we're gonna pick a part of it, or how much you're gonna pick up? That type of thing.
I think we're gonna look at where what businesses were required to put stuff in first,
Yeah, I think-
before we make a decision.
I think before we proceed any further, we're gonna figure out which businesses have to put in their own sidewalk. And then see what's left after that. That'll give us a better idea of what particles are gonna need a sidewalk, that's not covered.
All right.
And then we can look at and figure out percentage wise where we're gonna need to go in. From at that point.
Okay, no other business and hearing no objection, I will now adjourn the City of Cedar Springs Planning Commission meeting at 7:38 p.m.
You can motion on that?
Okay. I guess, if there's no other discussion, I will adjourn the meeting of the Solon Township Board at, it's probably 7:38, 7:39, something like that. All in favor, say aye. Welcome back. Meeting is done.
Yeah.